What's up, guys? Welcome back to Worth the Wait. I am your host, Cookie Miller, and today we are talking about food addiction and difficulty losing weight. Now, this topic, we're going to come at it and approach it more so from the sense of socioeconomic factors and also how the food industry plays a part in food addiction and difficulty losing weight. So, let's get started. Now, as usual, we are going to start off by defining what we're talking about. So, food addiction is a psychological disorder that is characterized by compulsive eating behaviors, cravings for certain types of foods, and an inability to control eating. Difficulty losing weight refers to the challenge that many people face when trying to lose weight, even when they are making an effort to eat healthy and exercise regularly. So why is this an important discussion for us to have? Well, food addiction and difficulty losing weight are important topics because these are widespread issues that affect millions of people, especially in the United States, but also around the world. So understanding the underlying factors that contribute to these issues can help individuals to make more informed choices about their health and well-being. And for me as a coach as well, having people who are coming in, women who are coming in to me who are needing help with their weight. So many times when I ask about their weight history or ask about, have they always struggled with weight? Is this something new? Is this something that happened in childhood? So many people are telling me stories of childhood of how this food addiction kind of started to form. So I felt like this was an important discussion to have here on the podcast. I've already had this discussion with my clients and it brought out a ton of things. So I'm hoping that you also gather some insights from this topic as well. Now, when we're talking about socioeconomic factors, we're referring to the person's economic and social position in society, which of course can impact their access to resources and influence their choices. So examples of this would include things like poverty, lack of access to healthy foods, lack of education, and a limited access to health care. Now, I don't know how you grew up or what your situation is, but for me, this is a lot like what I experienced when I was growing up, having a lack of access to healthy foods. Sometimes in the neighborhoods where I grew up, the closest access to any type of food was usually like a convenience store versus a grocery store. So when you go into a convenience store, what's available? Most of the time it's chips, snacks, really ultra processed foods that can sit on those shelves for a long time. So you can see how just living in an area where you don't have access can cause someone to maybe just choose whatever is available, right? It's like you got to eat, you're hungry, you want a snack, choose whatever is available. Also, having a lack of education. At that time, I certainly didn't have any education surrounding nutrition or learning about food or understanding food, which, by the way, is why I created the Decode Your Diet course, because this is what I wish I had. I wish I had something that really explained nutrition to me, really taught me how to use MyFitnessPal, right? I really wish that those are some of the things I had access to because I realized or had knowledge about because I realized how important those things are. So this may sound similar to you, even if maybe you didn't experience this in childhood, maybe you started experiencing it in adulthood, but either way, it's important for you to understand that those things do impact where you are now in relation to weight, health, how you feel about yourself, so many more things, okay? People who are living in poverty are more likely to experience food addiction because they may not have access to the healthy food options, or they may turn to unhealthy food options as a way to cope. And they're coping with the stress and the anxiety of living in a situation where they don't have everything that they need. Their minimum needs are not being met. So that's the stress that they're reacting to. And then a lack of education about nutrition, as I already mentioned, can also contribute to food addiction. You don't know what you don't know. Now, I was telling you guys the story of kind of how I grew up and how there's this limited access and only having convenience stores. And that is the case for many low-income neighborhoods that are considered food deserts. And it's because they lack access to healthy food options. And this, of course, can lead to people in those neighborhoods turning to unhealthy, processed foods as a way to feed themselves and their families. And then additionally, people living in poverty may experience higher levels of stress, which then can lead to overeating and food addiction. So you see how this cycle can start and how it can kind of be an area where it's difficult to get out of the cycle because it's so almost easy to stay in it. So how do you overcome food addiction if you've been placed in this position just kind of by circumstance? Well, at this point, you're listening to this podcast, so this is a good first step. But education and about nutrition and healthy food options is really the key to overcoming food addiction. Community programs that provide healthy food options to low-income families can also be helpful. And then additionally, mental health resources such as counseling and therapy can help individuals address the underlying causes of their food addiction. The previous episode, we just had an incredible guest, Dr. Ebony, who talked with us about mental health. So if that's something that you want to kind of lean more into, definitely check out that previous episode. Now let's talk about how the food industry itself plays a role in creating this difficulty in losing weight that a lot of people experience. So the food industry in the US is dominated by large corporations that prioritize profit over health. And many processed foods contain addictive ingredients like sugar and salt, which can make it difficult to stop eating these things once you start. Companies do this on purpose, you guys. This is something that it's a part of their marketing, right? It's a part of their tactic. They mix something that's very addictive, like sugar, with something that also can be addictive and really tastes good, like salt. Even if the food isn't necessarily a sweet food or a salty food, right? You'll find that a lot of the foods that you tend to overeat on probably do have some form of salt and sugar combination. That is on purpose. They understand and have researched how addictive those things are, and they purposely make foods that way so that you'll keep coming back to them. Okay, so I don't know about you guys, but for me, I take those types of things personally. I'm like, oh, so you're trying to create this addiction in me, and then that makes me want to move in the opposite direction. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but that's me personally. I'm like, nobody's going to be controlling, right? Like what I do and what decisions I make. And so I think that switching your perspective to that can be helpful as well, to think, you know what, I'm in control of what I eat, what I want to eat. I'm in control of what I'm putting into my body, and I'm not going to fall for these marketing tactics that companies, and especially fast food restaurants, I think they're one of the biggest ones, are creating this trap that they're creating for you to fall into. Now, the other thing is that fast food chains and even other restaurants often offer larger portions of high-calorie, high-fat foods, which can make it difficult to maintain a healthy diet and lose weight. And on top of that, the food industry spends millions, probably billions, certainly billions of dollars on advertising unhealthy food options to consumers. Many processed foods are designed, like I said before, to be addictive, making it difficult for people to stop eating them once they start, which of course can contribute to difficulty losing weight. So the key to combating the food industry's impact on difficulty losing weight is to educate yourself. You have to take it into your own hands. You know, I think sometimes people can get frustrated about, you know, this is the state of the world, and this is what, especially in the U.S., this is what the U.S. has created. This is purposeful. This is capitalism. This is all of these things. And you're right, and I'm right there with you. But we don't have much time to correct what has happened and what the outcome has been, or what the consequences have been of these standards that the food industry has set, the marketing, and then also the poverty that may have started the whole thing. We can't necessarily go back and fix all those things, and we also can't fix everything right now in this moment. So instead of you waiting, for the food industry to correct itself, for, poverty to be extinct, right? Instead of you waiting for those things, it's up to you to take it into your own hands and take care of yourself now, because the clock is ticking. And the longer you spend eating those overprocessed foods so often, being addicted to the food, the worse you're creating this health problem for yourself. Okay, so again, this is why I created Decode Your Diet. If you are someone who's like, I don't really even know how to get started with this, I don't know how to track in MyFitnessPal, what the heck is a macro? I keep hearing people talking about macros and calories. Why should I care about all this stuff? That is what's in this mini course. Don't feel like you are intimidated by the course. It's a mini course. It's short. It's something that's self-paced. You do it on your own time. You don't have to wait to check in with me or anything like that. You just do it on your own time and you get it done. So if you're interested in that, it'll be in the show notes so that you can take a look and sign up for that. It's $19.99 for the first 20 people that sign up. Okay, so make sure that you get into that course so that you can empower yourself to take your life back, really, and to get rid of that food addiction and to start introducing healthier foods into your lifestyle, with it being something that's manageable and something that you can do long term, because after all, the goal is not just to lose weight, but it's to keep it off for good. As a woman of color, it's very important to me that I speak directly to other women of color. Of course, others are welcome to listen and to get the information that you need from this as well. However, in this portion of the podcast, I do want to speak directly to women of color, because we are more likely to experience food addiction and difficulty losing weight due to a combination of factors, including the socioeconomic factors that were mentioned before, because history, right? History is the reason why so many of us tend to have those socioeconomic difficulties while growing up, as well as cultural factors and, of course, historical factors. So these factors can impact our access to healthy food options, as well as the way that women of color may even view their bodies and the way that society views our bodies, right? The historical factors on food addiction and weight loss, especially in us as women of color, we have experienced historical trauma related to food, including forced diets during slavery and colonization, and the forced removal of traditional food systems. So these experiences can contribute to feelings of shame and disconnection from food and from the body. So how do these challenges impact us? Well, there was a study that was published in the Journal of Nutrition Education and Behavior that found that African American women who reported higher levels of stress and low levels of social support were more likely to engage in emotional eating, which can contribute to weight gain and difficulty losing weight. So this is a real thing. It's studied. It's not just something that we are saying. It's something that actually impacts us. And I could go so much deeper into this particular topic. So let me know if you guys would want me to do an episode just on this. And I definitely will, because this is super important to me. So anywho, thank you guys so very much for listening to this week's episode of Worth the Wait. Remember, if this episode or any of our episodes have helped you, please consider leaving us a 5-star review, especially on Apple Podcasts, but we'll appreciate the review no matter where you leave it. And also, if you're listening to an episode and you're like, this really resonates with me, like I'm really taking something from this, please share it. We're trying to reach more people in general to help people become more healthy, So if you can help us by sharing, taking a screenshot, posting it on your story, tagging us at Worth the Wait Podcast, and or tagging me at Cookie Miller, we will definitely repost. I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.